Hey out there. This is Saturday, August 23rd, 2014. And today I wanted to talk about solutions. We've got a lot of problems in the world, societal issues. And currently there's a lot of discussion about what's going on in Iraq and this ISIS group that is so vicious and cruel. They're killing children, they're killing Christians, they're just killing indiscriminately, beheading people, just putting the fear of God into people's soul, that, oh my God, who is this enemy that we're facing? What they're really after is money. Just recently they tried to extort, I think it was $132 million for a journalist they had abducted, kidnapped, held hostage, and they finally just cut his head off. This is some messed up stuff, and the solution to this problem is the same as the solution to all the other problems that face humanity, that have been facing humanity for thousands of years, and that is to have equality. What we need is an egalitarian state of affairs, not just in one area like here in America, but worldwide. We need egalitarianism to be the rule of the day. And what egalitarianism really comes down to is equality, is this understanding that human beings are born equal, and as such they deserve equal rights and protections under the law. And rights are like entitlements. Sometimes people get the word entitlement confused with the word privilege. And I know that there's distinct similarities. In fact, they may technically cross over. But I would like to distinguish, because I think something that you're truly entitled to is a right. And, fundamentally, we must understand, since this planet belongs to us all equally, that you have a right to share in the abundance thereof, because these things are provided not by man, but by God. And in a very real sense, everything that man has constructed, built, all the technological advancements, all these things are attributable to God also, because God gave us the brain, therefore the wherewithal, to go out and produce these things. And so it's always needs to be understood that the glory goes to God. And this is the one that gives us our rights. This is why we're entitled to share in the bounty that is here on the earth. And a lot of that bounty has been accumulated over thousands of years from our ancestors building it and putting it together. So there's no person alive on earth that can take direct responsibility even for a lot of the progress we see in the world today. A lot of the giant old buildings and a lot of the older infrastructure, all this stuff was built by people that are dead and gone now, and they left it. All their labor, all that they've poured into making the earth a nicer place for you and I, let's say, is our inheritance. It's here. And we cannot have any one, ultra uber wealthy group of people like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the royalty of Great Britain, and on and on and on. All these these top tier, super wealthy people. We can't have them just being the daddies of the planet, and by fiat, by their own decree, they say, well, although yes, we've gleaned this huge fortune, and therefore essentially we could buy the earth, because of our great riches. It's illegitimate, and it needs to be seen for its illegitimacy, because they didn't even amass their great wealth in legitimate ways. Okay, it's based on lies, frauds, cheating, stealing, and trickery of every sort. And so when we understand fundamentally that that's how these people have gained the planet, then we say, you know what? We're not going to let it stand. We, the people, are the true government in every nation of the world. And collectively, as all the nations of the world, it is we, the people, that deserve to be treated with respect and dignity and understood for being not so much who we are, but what we are. We are God's children. We are born equal with equal privileges and equal rights. Now, having said that, I think it's important to point out that human beings do like rules. So when we say privilege, we could say, well, you know, you're able to do this here because it's safe to do it here. It's just like starting a fire where I'm standing would be a big no-no. But common sense should dictate to any normal person that you wouldn't want to start a fire here. The least little breeze could ignite the whole place, and that would endanger lives. You know, it's perfectly all right when Mother Nature does it with lightning, because that's nature taking its course. But if I go and start a fire because I'm stupid, endangering people's property and lives, then you know, that's not okay. So there's certain good reasons to have rules, you know, to have a common understanding. But most people, if we had a proper paradigm, in other words, a natural paradigm, a natural reality that wasn't so manipulated, we've all been so trained into somehow believing that this world system, this current establishment makes sense, that, you know, we just fall into lockstep with it. We realize that, well, we must conform. We need money because money helps us to survive. Money may put a roof over your head and food in your belly and drinkable water, and you know, it provides you these things that are basic, essential human needs. These are things that every creature requires and seeks for if they don't have them. And it's very natural that human beings seek to have these things too. But we're all born indebted. We're born beholden. We're born into a world system, this established system, where we have something that's different from every other creature, and it's called the cost of living. In other words, they're telling you straight up, you're born a slave. You're born imprisoned as a hostage on this planet into this contrived system, this monetary, money-based reality. And you have what's known as a cost of living to contend with all your life. And you're told that it makes sense. So you fall in line because you realize there's no sense in bucking a system that's ubiquitous, that everybody has to follow these rules, these arbitrary, capricious rules. They're, you know, the illegitimate rules by decree, by fiat, by a gaggle of ruthless, merciless thugs that sit at the top of the pyramid here and rule over us. So is it so radical? Is it so wild? Is it so controversial to say that you have an inherent right, a God-given right, to share in the earth and all her goodies? And if people all over the world understood this and could realize this, because any government that was established, was set up, was strictly there to cater to the people through education. This is through proper understanding, proper learning, wisdom, it's knowledge. Then it's a good thing. You know, why don't you want to use cocaine? Well, you don't want to use cocaine because it'll destroy your health in short order. And it's not about the money. You see, currently the way it is, well, it costs a lot of money to be a coke addict and do as much coke as I want. And so that's going to keep me from doing it. Or it's illegal, and that's the fear, is that, you know, I'll end up in jail and that'll, you know, wreck my life. And, you know, so that's why I don't want to do it. No, you educate people and say, no, if you do this, here's what your teeth are going to look like in a couple of years. You know, this is what your brain is going to be like. This is your state. This is going to be your constant mood, since you depleted the natural chemicals in your body that get you high, the endorphins, and you used them up all at once by doing this synthetic drug. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Where the rules come in is more in the form of educating people on the why you don't want to light a match in this dry grass, or why you don't want to use coke, or why it's immoral, it's unethical to drive drunk because you endanger people's lives. And I've spoke out against jaywalking because I'm really into public safety, but just the same, this is the reason why you don't want to jaywalk, why it's okay sometimes, because I do plenty of it myself. So I feel like a hypocrite sometimes when I'll say, well, jaywalking is wrong, but yet I do it myself. So, there is some gray areas that, common sense has to dictate, when it's safe to jaywalk and when it's not. Now, there's a lot of talk about job creation. One of the jobs that I could see creating is people in the, the highway safety business. So you go out and you innovate ways to make it safer for pedestrians on the highways. I believe that the pedestrians need to be separated, segregated from the automobiles. It's just too dangerous. So we need either underpasses for people to walk, overpasses. We could cater to the handicapped for wheelchairs and whatnot. Look, it's not beyond our ability to imagine. We've got toys on Mars, roaming around up there taking movies. So, the idea that we can't do this is ridiculous. The idea, oh, well, it's going to cost a lot of money. Well, we've got all these jobs. We got all this wealth. They only tell us we're in debt because they stole our wealth. Okay, we're not really in debt. We have a very wealthy nation. Primarily our wealth is invested in our labor force, because labor, as everybody should figure out, is the single greatest resource of every nation, because not even the gold comes out of the mines without labor. Nothing gets done. Absolutely nothing gets done. A nail doesn't get pounded into the wood to build your house. Nothing. Your automobile doesn't get a single bolt put in it without a labor force. So this labor is clearly, undeniably, irrefutably the single greatest resource every nation has. And people want to work. They want to be appreciated. They want to feel like they're contributing members of society. This is a very normal, natural state of affairs for a human being. It's our conscience. It's just everything about us. It's the way we're created. We're kind of built to serve. We want to do something. We want to be useful. We don't want to sit around just being selfish, decadent, self-serving. We want to, show that we love people, prove it through what we do. And we find it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you go out there even today into these voluntary associations, whether it's your local soup kitchen or Habitat for Humanity build or something like that, then you find out quickly that people are enjoying serving one another. So the idea that we can't do as a human race, they talk about race in this country. I see us as one race, the human race. It's not about the African American race or the Latin race or the Asian race or the white race. No, we're the human race, okay? As dramatically different as a Swedish person might look from a Nigerian, we're still of one bloodline. And it's probably like that on other planets. I mean, if we can look this different, imagine how different, people on another planet might look too. So, but still have enough similarity to say, yes, we are one. It can be proved with our DNA that we are of the same genetic formation, that God created man to be man and monkeys to be monkeys. And, that's it. We're all equal. Every human being on the face of the earth is equally loved. And really, this is the greatest thing. This is the only true thing we can ever really possess, is the love of God, and trusting God to say, well, you can really, give me a new body after I die, and I don't actually ever die. That even death, that we call death, is just sleep, and it's a different manifestation of sleep. But, as everybody knows, in a dream even, that you have a body, yes, it's all true. We can trust that there is a one, all-powerful, loving God doting over us, wanting our affections and our attention, not wanting us to be steered away and distracted by worldly wealth, the things of this world, materialism and all this, Although it's nice to have things. Everybody knows, God knows that it's nice to have not only our necessities, but it's nice to have toys, because it's natural for us to want to recreate. So the idea of you wanting a surfboard or a nice car or, whatever it is that floats your boat, okay, I think those things are okay. The reason that it's so hard for a lot of people to enjoy those things, that materialism, is because we see such great austerity in the world. We see so many people struggling just to have enough food in their belly, just to have clean water or a roof